So people are arriving. Okay. So I hope you're feeling energized after everything that we covered last night and ready for another exciting session. And as I've said, it was so beautiful to see you all engaging. So please don't forget to engage in the comments again tonight. We're building an extremely supportive online community here. And as I said, I loved seeing how yesterday you all supported one another in the comments thread and also so openly shared your experience. Now, remember as well that there are two amazing prizes for the two most engaged people in the group between now and the end of the day tomorrow. So the second prize will go to the person who has engaged most in the group between when it first opened and the end of today tomorrow. And that prize is my dating site quiz, plus access to my entire back catalogue of training videos, which is over 60 hours of content and worth about £3,000. The first prize will go to the person who is most engaged, but who also attends all three live streams on the night and engages in the comments right until the very end tomorrow. So this person will win all of the above, plus a 60-minute one-to-one coaching call with me and my personal help with their dating profile. Okay, so great. We have people here. So type away, everybody, for a chance to win prizes. Okay, so let's quickly recap what we covered yesterday. Yesterday, we went deep into those pesky self-sabotaging behaviors that can trip us up when we're dating. And by now, if you've already watched yesterday's training, you should know exactly what I'm talking about. We also looked at the limiting beliefs that drive those habits and the fears lurking underneath them. Today, though, we're going to be flipping the script and focusing in on positive transformation. So, who here is ready to meet their ideal man this summer? Please go ahead. If that's you, give me a virtual high five in the comments. So, I want you to imagine that your transformation is a bit like being in an old-fashioned hot air balloon that is rising into the sky. So yesterday we identified the sandbags that are weighing it down. But today we're going to start throwing those sandbags over the side of the hot air balloon basket so that we can watch you guys soar. Now, ladies, I can't stress this enough. In order to see real change, you need to properly address those deep-seated fears and limiting beliefs. They are the sandbags. And actually, by picking up and looking at them, that is the only way that you can then throw them over the side of the basket and develop new, healthy, empowered, feminine habits that will take their place and that will revolutionize your love life. So we spoke in quite a lot of detail last night about how to date from your feminine energy in a way that feels really good. But I just wanted to quickly pause here and address some feedback that I tend to get a lot when it comes to being in your feminine energy. So a lot of women tell me that they've tried being vulnerable and speaking from their desires to men before, but it backfired. So here's the thing. If you've been living in your masculine energy for a long time, suddenly letting out your feminine side, your desire and your vulnerability can be a bit like turning on a rusty tap. So it might kind of splutter and judder a little bit at first, right? But when you keep that tap running, when you keep the water flowing, you'll soon have a clear, powerful stream that a good man will massively and positively respond to. Okay, so I hope that helps. And I want to let you know as well that tonight I am going to be sharing my own online dating transformation story. I'm going to break the transformation down into actionable steps that you can apply to your own journey. And please trust me that this process will help you to find your match effortlessly and crucially, to stop wasting time on the wrong guys. Now, do also please stay tuned until the end because I'm going to be taking you through a practical exercise that will help you to embody this new way of being. And it's really, really powerful stuff. So, again, I'm going to be transparent. We're probably going to go on for about 80 to 90 minutes this evening because, again, I want to give you as much value as possible. But I also really want to tell you about some amazing women who have gone through the Art of Electric Dating, my 12-week program, because their stories are incredible. They will give you hope. And all of them committed to their ongoing transformation and are now happily partnered with their ideal man. So we're going to do the old screen share thing. So again, just bear with me while I do this. Okay, so this is Anne, a completely different Anne to the Anne I told you about last night. She signed up to do the Gold program with the Art of Electric Dating in May of 2023. And she messaged me literally just on Monday, I think, of last week to tell me that she is now engaged. And when I met Anne, she was 59. She was approaching her 60th birthday. She really felt that she was too old to find love. She'd been addicted to an unavailable man that she'd had real problems breaking free of. But look where she is now, and that's less than 2 years later. So next up is Laura, who did the Silver program with the group coaching. I showed you a testimonial that she sent me while she was in the middle of the process yesterday, and I said that I hadn't updated it. But here is the result. She posted this in the big Facebook group just before Christmas. And I was asking people to brag about their achievements in 2024. And her two brags were that she'd worked with me a lot over the last few years because she repeated the Silver program actually. She helped me, I helped her see her worth again after a lot of trauma. And she finally met her Prince Keith after kissing a lot of frogs. They met online, they've been together almost 3 months, and he still spoils her with flowers and chocolate like he did on the first date. I feel like I'm living a dream and I can't wait to spend Christmas with my love. So there's Laura. I told you about Ruth last night at the end of our time together, and she was the one who really took the shine your light brightly so that someone else shining their light brightly can find you mantra to heart. And, you know, she really went for it. And we're going to talk about this later about really going for online dating with intention, with a kind of precise scalpel so that you really, really know who you're looking for. So she did go through a month of online dating, connected with about 12 guys. But in the end, she said, "Oh my God, I found a brilliant one, a genuine brilliant one. Mr. R is stereotypical, tall, dark, and handsome, which is fab, but by no means touches his awesomeness. He listens, he hears, has buckets of empathy, is able to share, is able to hold, makes me laugh, can cook, is solvent, is reliable, has traveled the world, knows who he is and what he wants. And he is making me feel like the best version of me. Kings do exist." So there we go. And here they are. I think I told you last night that flash forward, the two of them put their house up for rent for a year, and they are now midway through their trip around the world together. Okay, here's Nikki. I told you last night that on the Art of Electric Dating, we go deep into talking about trauma and trauma responses. So she's talking about how she realized that she'd been greatly affected by her trauma and the trauma response that she had developed. But she also said, and this was just after module 1 or 2, that she was really ready to put it behind her and be the person that she's supposed to be. And she started to recognize her behaviors, which is exactly what we talked about last night, and how that affects the way that men treat her. And very honestly, she said, "I don't want to be treated like I'm only worthy of fucking and not loving." Well, lo and behold, it wasn't long before Nikki met Dave, and boom, a year later, they got engaged, and you probably can't see the entirety of that shot because PowerPoint reformatted it for me, which is a little bit unuseful. But at the top of that Facebook post is an announcement that they got engaged. So Jen is another past client of mine. She met her partner Sebas with my support, and I often check in with my clients after I've worked with them. And we had a little conversation recently. It turned out that her mum had sadly passed away, but that he was incredibly supportive throughout that period. And now they're more and more committed. You can probably see that one. She says, "Yes, I'm so grateful for him. We got a little puppy and a camper, so now it's really serious, lol." Okay. Um, and finally, oh no, we want to come back to this one later. Right. Slightly technical hitch there. Okay, so there we go. That's what my Art of Electric Dating program is all about. It is a 12-week journey that gives you the concrete tools to apply the principles that we've been talking about over these few days together, but applying them in real life dating scenarios. And by the summer's end, if you choose to jump in, you too, just like all of these ladies, could be cozying up with your perfect match. Now, here's a little insider tip. When you join the Art of Electric Dating, what I advise is that you hold off on dating until you've completed the first 7 modules. And this gives us time to realign your energy and create a fresh vision for your love life. So when you do start dating again, you are a whole new woman. And believe me, men will notice. So again, are you ready to transform your love life? And if so, pop a yes in the comments and send a signal to the rest of the ladies in the group, but also to the universe, that you are ready and that the time is now. Okay, so I'd like you to imagine yourself as a beautiful, well-oiled machine, one in which your masculine and feminine energies are working together in perfect harmony. And your mind, heart, and sexuality are all on the same page. Because what we learned yesterday is that our internal and external experiences are intimately connected. When the internal masculine suppresses the internal feminine and can't give her what she needs, guess what happens? We meet a man who can't give our feminine what she needs either, because the external is a reflection of the internal. Okay, but when we honor our internal feminine and empower her to speak from a really grounded and open place with practice, everything changes. And so I'm going to quickly go on to the next slide, and don't worry because we are going to cover a lot of new material this evening, but I also want to demonstrate how this works in practice by telling you about my client Corolla. She went through the first 3 modules of the Art of Electric Dating, realigned her energy, wrote out her relationship blueprint, which we're going to be talking about later as well, and found the courage to speak her heart's true desire to a man that she was falling in love with. And I'm about to show you exactly what happened. So she says, "I spoke my truth about my feelings to a man I was falling in love with who was called Neil. He told me he'd never seen anyone do anything so beautiful and so brave, and now we are together. And he, so far, ticks all the boxes on my relationship blueprint." 11 months later, me doing my little check-in, or 10 months later, I write to her and she says, yes, he is a super kind, a kind, honest, and emotionally super real guy. We love each other very much, and definitely the long-term goal is to live together. But that needs to be approached very slowly because of my daughter. But it's been nearly 10 months. Fingers crossed. Thanks for asking. Your work helped me a lot. So, ladies, I hope that is giving you some hope. And again, I want to remind you that on the Art of Electric Dating, we do the feminine first and then the masculine. It's like building a house. You need a strong foundation in your feminine energy before you can add the roof on. So I'm not going to stay here for very long, but very quickly, I just want to remind you what is included. So we're just going to go back to the modules. So just to remind you from last night, this is step one, which is all about getting rid of the garbage and getting ready for love. So getting past your fears, your limiting beliefs, your resentments, your resistance to online dating, healing and learning from past relationships, like kind of picking all the places where you've gotten energetically and emotionally stuck, and then getting crystal clear on your ideal man by writing this relationship blueprint, which I'm going to go into more detail about later. Step two is these three modules. It's all about how to choose the right app for your personality, your lifestyle, your age, your location, and your desires. Creating a standout magnetic dating profile, which is going to be your calling card, and understanding exactly who to talk to and who not to, so you don't waste any more time on unsuitable men. Then the last bit is about moving from dating to committed. So it's about really turning those text message conversations on so they move to a fun first date within a week or two maximum. And then building momentum. And we talked about pace setting last night. So really intentionally setting that pace over those first 5 dates so that you're building those solid foundations. And then critically within that, knowing when it's the right time to sleep with him. So just a quick reminder, you can sign up as a self-study version, a version with group coaching, and a version with 10 one-to-one sessions with me. With group coaching, you get 9 2-hour sessions with a small intimate group. I doubt it'll be more than 5 or 6 people, so you still get plenty of time with me. All things are available on payment plan. Here are the prices. You can pay up to over 10 months to make it super affordable. And there are also pay in full bonuses, though, where you get extra session time with me if you pay in full. And if you sign up for the silver or the gold program, you get 4 additional bonus trainings. All the trainings are as in-depth as these ones that I'm giving you at the moment without the sales pitch, so 60 to 90 minutes long each. The bonus trainings are on how to spot green and red flags, how to have the best first date ever, how to never get ghosted again, and how to meet men offline and on real and in real life instead. So there's loads and loads in there, and I have done my market research, and I can 100% tell you that there is no coach in the market doing dating and relationship coaching who is offering that much value at these prices. And the best news is that I am running a 50% discount on this course between now and midnight on Sunday, May the 4th. But if this is inspiring you and you are ready to sign up by midnight tonight, you will get my fast action bonus, which is lifetime access to my entire back catalogue of training videos. I mentioned it earlier on. It's 60 hours of training covering all things dating and relationship, including interviews with international experts, live Q&As with real women who have real coaching and who get my real questions and who get my expert answers. Now, I know that these 3 days are going to give you a lift and will leave you feeling inspired. But if you want to live in that inspiration permanently and see it reinvent your love life so that you find happiness with an amazing man, you need the exact tools and you need to know how to use them in real time. And this is where the course comes in, because with the support of a tribe and expert coaching, you'll get to practice until the wisdom that I'm going through this week is locked deep into your bones. Now, I also think that I need to let you know that this is the last time that I'm going to be offering these discounts like this in this format to people whom I already know. And that's because, to be honest with you, it's a lot of work putting together these 3-day courses and all the marketing that goes with it. So what I've decided that I'm going to do going forward is to automate the whole process and offer out discounts to the new people that are coming in onto my email list and into the group. This is what I'm thinking at the moment. I may change my mind, but it will be at least a year away before you have the opportunity to jump on board this particular course for these prices. And I imagine prices will likely go up in 2026 to keep up with inflation. So, at the time of recording, the other thing I want to let you know is that I only have 3 places on the gold version of the program. I actually signed 2 women up yesterday. So if you're interested in gold, definitely jump on board as soon as you can. All right, that is the sales pitch. That's it. We're going to crack on. Thank you for staying with me. We are still here with everybody. Great. Okay, so are you ready for some new material? Because I now want to share with you how I personally stopped leaning too far forward, how I stopped leaning too far back because I was a flip-flopper, and how I found that perfect posture, the upright but flexible spine, and the open heart that we discussed last night, which is basically like yoga for your love life. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching whilst I'm telling you my story. So I'm going to be extrapolating all the learning and growth that went on for me and breaking it down for you as well, because I'm pretty sure that what I went through will resonate for a lot of you. So first of all, I had been dating and using the dating apps for 15 years with no success whatsoever. And I'm not exaggerating. I went online on the dating apps about 3 or 4 years after I graduated from university. It was in 1999. It was the early days of dating apps, and everybody was very, very hush hush about it. You know, people lied about meeting on the dating apps back then. And as I said last night, I'm pretty sure that whatever you've experienced, I've experienced it too. I had good dates, I had bad ones. I got ghosted more times than I care to remember. I had hookups, I had one-night stands, I had sex dates. I once even had a kind of fledgling 3-way relationship when I was in my experimental phase, right? I fell in love, I fell out of love, I became obsessed, I got dumped painfully, all of it. Okay. So those early days of dating were mostly a stab in the dark. So there were lots and lots of off dates, right? Energetically off dates. I think you know what I mean. There were boring dates, guys where I sat through meals with them and I just didn't fancy them at all. And I was just making polite conversation. I had men spending £250 on dinner for me. I don't know where those men are now, but anyway, £250 on dinner for me, taking me to places like the Oxo Tower in London, but then expecting a kiss in return. And I did kiss them, even though I wasn't into them, because I felt guilty that they'd spent so much money on me, right? I had dick pics, videos. I literally can't think of a situation that you might have been in that I haven't been in as well. I actually even had somebody die on me after a few dates. I went to his funeral after having slept with him 3 times. So I've had a gamut of experience, right? Now, I want to kind of like zoom in here and make a significant point about Lawrence, who was actually the guy that died. And thank you, Lawrence. I was stopped to say, bless your soul, because this was a major learning point for me. So this was actually the guy who suggested a 3-way relationship with his girlfriend. Don't judge me. I was very young. I didn't know what I was doing. Well, I was in my 30s, not that young, but it seems young now. Anyway, but he was a very, very nice man. And one of the things that he said to me was that he could tell exactly what every woman was going to be like before he even met them. And I had no idea what he was going to be like before I'd met him, because at that stage in my life, I wasn't very connected to my intuition. But on one of our dates, he said to me, I knew exactly what you would be like before I met you. So I was super intrigued by this possibility. Like, how could it be true? Because I was still, kind of shooting in the dark, as it were. And so later, after he'd sadly died and that whole thing had come to an end, I remember meeting a guy online who I was quite interested in. And I thought, okay, because I'm not getting this right, and because I really, really don't know how to tell what someone's going to be like before I meet up with them, I'm going to write down what I think he's going to be like before I go on a date with him. I think I'm going to write down all the qualities that I think this guy will possess in advance of our date. And after I've been on the date, I'm going to look at my piece of paper and I'm going to see if I was right. And what was interesting to me was that I was pretty much bang on. So there were a couple of things that I didn't get, one of which was his politics. And now I'm actually quite into politics. It's quite important to me. So if we're misaligned there, that's a bit of an issue. Um, so I didn't pick up on that because he hadn't mentioned it. I also, I'm telling you, I had some crazy experiences. I also didn't get the fact that I think he probably had a little bit of cocaine before he came on the date. So there are a few things that I missed. But in general, the things that I had predicted about him before I met him were bang on the money. I got right the fact that he was intelligent, but also arrogant and quite self-centered. So I got some fundamental things right about his character. And I felt really emboldened by that because I felt like, okay, well, actually, maybe my intuition is working better for me than I thought it would be. And maybe if I can ascertain these kinds of things in advance of dating, maybe I can start getting a better hit rate and I can start having better quality dates. And so I really advise you, this is one action step that you can take after tonight's call, is start doing that. Start writing things down about what you think a man is going to be like before you meet them. Because that way you can test your intuition, but by putting attention on your intuition and looking at what you missed as well as what you got right, you will slowly, slowly start to hone it, or maybe not so slowly, because it wasn't so slow for me. Now, the story doesn't end there because it turned out that honing my intuition in advance of meeting people was only part of the solution. The other major problem that I was having, although I didn't know it back then, was that I wasn't really committed at this stage in my life to really getting what I wanted. And I wasn't really committed to I didn't really know what would truly be good for me. So even though I was getting better at knowing at knowing what someone was going to be like before I went on a date with them, I still didn't really have any true confidence in myself. And I didn't 100% know what it was that I wanted or what I was looking for in a man. And I certainly didn't know how to speak my desire in a feminine way and have men respond to that from their masculine energy. So I didn't really know how to carry myself, and I was still quite nervous. So the whole thing came to a head online when I met this one particular guy. And I'm really telling you all of my secrets here from my earlier dating life. So there was a point in my late 30s slash early 40s when I thought, right, I'm going to explore BDSM. So I went on to this BDSM specialist website and I met this guy who was Sri Lankan. Now, this is significant to me because I actually spent some considerable time, about 6 months to 9 months, volunteering in Sri Lanka. And this guy was like a 6'5" Sri Lankan giant, which is super unusual because they're normally a little smaller. And so we went on this date. And the reason that I'm telling you about the BDSM thing is because it's an example of where the different parts of me were out of alignment. And we're going to talk more about this going forward. My sexuality my heart and my mind were absolutely not aligned because there was a part of me that was like, yeah, BDSM, like how exciting. And there was another part of me that I was totally unaware of at the time that was like totally freaked out by it. Okay. And so I went on this date, and this 6'5" Sri Lankan giant spoke to me about these things called munches. So munches are basically places where people who are into BDSM get together and talk about it. And he was talking about all these really, really big characters in this world. And the part of me that was so freaked out started getting wound up. And so I fell back on a bad dating habit that I had at this time, which I didn't mention yesterday. But it was a habit of getting into competition with men intellectually. And it connects to what we were talking about yesterday because that was actually my inner masculine energy coming forward to protect my scared little feminine heart. And so I started arguing with him and basically putting his whole world of BDSM down. So, to summarize, I specifically dated a man from a specific website in connection with a specific thing. And then I went on the date and I slapped that man down and I slapped that thing down, right? And it was a shame, really, because actually, when it came to talking about Sri Lanka, we got on really, really well. And he was super impressed that I knew all this stuff about his country. And because of that, and because of the physical attraction that I felt towards him, I actually really, really liked him. Now, what happened on that day was that I also spent some time bitching, unfortunately, about a friend of mine. So not only did I slag something off that was important to him, but because I was out of my depth, sorry, and I wasn't fully internally aligned, I also offloaded a whole load of negative feelings onto him about an experience that I was having with a close friend. Now, I'm going to come back to why the bit about the friend was significant in a short while, but suffice to say that I'm guessing that for these two reasons, he didn't ask me out on a second date. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, right? But I must have cried for the whole of Christmas. It was just before Christmas that this had happened, and these tears just would not stop falling. And at that point, I realized that the wound that I was carrying around men wasn't just about him, it was about all the other guys who had ever let me down. It was about all the disappointments, all the fuck ups that had ever happened. And I realized at this point that I was carrying this wound around with me and basically just transferring it from one man to the next to the next. And I remember that Christmas that a friend came around to my house and she was just like, why? Like, why are you crying so much? Because I literally just couldn't stop. Like, the waterworks were on. So at that point in my life, which was probably around 2014, I knew that something just had to change. So I took a break from internet dating altogether and I switched my attention to the real world. And I got involved in some conscious sexuality communities. And this is where I actually started to learn a huge amount about the stuff that I'm now teaching you. All the stuff about masculine and feminine dynamics that we went into yesterday, and also about the way that energy works in relationships and in sex as well. And it was a very nurturing and eye-opening period of my life. And not only did I learn, but I also spent a lot of time filling myself up, nourishing myself, and really taking care of like my feminine aspects, the things that we spoke about yesterday. My sensuality, my emotions, my creativity, my intuition, etc., etc. So going back to the thing about bitching about my friend on the date with the Sri Lankan giant, what I realized when I got more aligned with my feminine energy and understood her more was that the reason that I had done that on that date was because at the time of that date, My own feminine was starving, depressed, depleted, and suppressed, as perhaps some of you might recognize that yours is. I was running through my life, trying at the time to make money through theatre and tour guiding, which, trust me, is actually quite hard. Don't do it. Okay. But basically, I was running on empty, and my masculine hustler was driving me. And while my masculine hustle energy was driving me, my feminine was completely undernourished. And so, because of this, I went on a date with a beautiful, attractive, intelligent man, and I vomited my emotional world all over him. Now, this is why I am basing the whole of the art of electric dating on this piece about working with energy, because being in our feminine at a deeply physical and energetic level is the key to transforming your love life. When you can nourish, hydrate, and take care of her, when you can give to her yourself, you're also going to be much more open and available to being taken care by a man too. Right? Your inner masculine is supporting your inner feminine. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Therefore, the law of attraction says you will also attract a man and be available to a man whose masculine can take care of your feminine. Now, conversely, when we keep her repressed and we don't take care of her, we will unwittingly do things and behave in ways that come off to men as anxious, as hungry, right? It's like we've got a hungry ghost inside of us. And it's almost like we're giving them the responsibility of taking care of our well-being because we can't take care of it ourselves. And we're giving them the responsibility of being responsible for us, which essentially is an energy that will drive most kinds of quality men away. They want to be free to be able to do it of their own accord. So, another realization that I had around this time, and I was now in my early 40s, was that I was going for sex when what I really wanted was a husband. I was doing ridiculous things like setting up sex dates and sex chat because I thought that's what men wanted. And I deeply, somewhere in the recesses of my being, felt that that was all that I was worth. So, as I mentioned last night, I was operating in one lane when actually I really wanted to be in another. But like I described yesterday in the bad dating habits section, I didn't feel that I had a choice. I had limiting beliefs and fears around my own self-worth. I was in reaction rather than setting out my store. I wasn't in creation. Now, at the time, I was also going for younger men. I mean, honestly, it was incredibly flattering and I also fancied them. But eventually, I realized that what I really wanted was a man my own age, somebody who had the same cultural references, who was at the same stage of life. So, to recap, I had two problems. The first was going for sex when what I wanted was love, and the second was going for younger men when what I really wanted was a partner of the same age. But there was a third issue too, and this was that I was getting involved in a lot of nebulous situations. I was involved in various FWB situations, friends with benefits, and I had regular ongoing flirtatious relationships with men who were just deeply ambivalent about me, frankly. And I spent a lot of mental energy on this, like questioning, like, did they like me? Did they not? Like, what the hell was going on? But really, the truth is, like, what the hell was I doing? I was constantly questioning all the time. Are we friends? Does he like me? Hyper fixating on his every move. And the thing, ladies, is that all that kind of mental chatter gets in the way of shining your light brightly so that someone else shining his light brightly can find you. How can you shine your light brightly when you're not aligned with what you truly want? When you're being driven by fear or limiting beliefs, or when you're hyper fixating on men who are not showing up for you? The answer is that you can't. So let me put this to you. Nature abhors a vacuum. So when you are filling the void with men who aren't right for you because perhaps they're too young, perhaps they're unavailable, or perhaps they only want sex, there's no room for the right man to come in. There's no vacuum, and so nature can't move to fill it. You're disconnected from the natural flow of nature, which is part of being in your feminine. Remember, the feminine is cyclical, just like nature is. And you can't access your feminine energy either because you're in your old wounds and your trauma instead. So everything that I've described here was a symptom of what I call a divided will, or a lack of internal alignment between feminine and masculine, but also between body, heart, and mind. And in my case, in the stories that I've been telling you, and I think a lot of you will relate to this, my sexuality was over here, my heart was over here, and my mind was constantly overthinking, which all led to a lot of anxiety because there were no stable foundations. So, when we're in a state of divided will, we're a bit like a car stuck in the mud. The car wheels are spinning and the engine is revving, but the car can't go anywhere because that mud is not only keeping it stuck, but by trying to move forward when there's this mud underneath our wheels, the car is also sinking further and further into the ground. So eventually, what happened for me was that with the support of ongoing coaching, myself, and a powerful group program that I did that built on everything else that I'd learned in therapy and conscious sexuality communities through the theatre, etc., I found the courage to face and own my heart's truest desire. It was time. I wanted a long-term partner. So I set about cleaning up the nebulous situations that I was involved in and started naming the elephants in the room. And if you're involved in a nebulous situation, this could be another action step that you could consider taking. It basically means being super direct and asking this man what exactly is going on, and then being willing to listen to and accept and fully receive their truthful answers rather than staying in the mode of second guessing them or doing detective work, right? Which is what I had been doing up until then. So when these men gave me their truthful answer, which was they weren't really available for whatever reason, I found the courage to brave the void and to create a vacuum in my dating life. I became a firm no to any sex chat because I got super clear that I simply didn't want to do that until I'd actually smelt a man. So that became a hard no. Now, I just want to pause here and tell you about one of the most critical modules of the art of electric dating. It's module 3 and it's called Getting Crystal Clear on Your Ideal Man. And this really lays the groundwork for module 6, in which you learn to identify the right men to talk to online and which ones to avoid. So in this module, module 3, we dive deep together to create your relationship blueprint, which is basically the manifesto for the partner that you truly desire. Now, a lot of coaches will tell you just to make a list of all the qualities that you want in a man. But the problem with this is that you end up writing from your ego, not addressing the subconscious drives, which, as we've already explored today and yesterday, have so much power over us. You see, our fears, our limiting beliefs, and our old wounds will keep sabotaging us and dividing our will and pulling us in different directions if we don't also bring them to light. And your desires, whatever you write down on your list, are not going to have any power behind them if your fear keeps taking you out of the game. There's no point in saying that you want a George Clooney if you turn to jelly and can't speak to him or communicate properly with him when he turns up, right? So the relationship blueprint exercise goes much, much deeper than making a list. We examine how your fears are affecting your desires. And we use that awareness to stir a giant pot up of fears and desires, reduce it down like you would reduce a casserole in ingredients if you were cooking, right? So that ultimately you get crystal clear on exactly what you need, which is quite different to what your egoic mind wants. We also look at your bottom lines. What are you an absolutely hard no to? Now, I just want to pause here and address the women who say, I think I'm too picky. Now, the likelihood is that if you're one of those women who is picky, um, you're still carrying a lot of protection around your heart. You're in the leant back posture and you're a little too in control. And so any list that you make that has been based on egoic criteria rather than on an understanding of what would be truly good for you at a soul level is actually just going to be kind of like a wall of expectations that is going to keep everybody out, right? You've got to be able to open up this heart center and look at the most vulnerable, tender parts to really connect into knowing what would be truly good for you at a deep soul level. So that is what we do in the relationship blueprint, right? The relationship blueprint is designed to be a manifestation as well of that upright posture, that upright but flexible, remember, spine, and the open heart. So the amazing thing is that if you do decide to sign up to the Art of Electric Dating, you get to do this exercise in the early stages of the program before you even start dating again. Modules 1 and 2 are all about clearing out the limiting beliefs and fears and healing your old wounds so that you're ready in module 3 to align with your true north. So when you start setting yourself up to date again, you're going to be doing that from a place of wholeness and not division. Okay? Body, mind, heart, all aligned, going in the same direction with some actual power with them and no mud pulling them back and sinking them into the ground. So, if you're ready to create your personalized relationship blueprint and start attracting a partner who can meet you at a deep soul level, just another reminder that the 50% discounts are available until midnight on Sunday, May the 4th. But if you sign up by midnight tonight, you are eligible for my amazing fast action bonus. So, to let you know again what kind of results you can expect, let me just quickly share this slide of Ella's. Okay, so moving on from Corolla, here we have Ella. I just need to make it a bit bigger at my end. It's quite difficult to read, so I'm going to read it out to you. Online dating, before I met Emma, online dating was depressing, and I even found myself falling into the belief that I was happy with one-night stands as the guys were. All I found were married men or guys who were only interested in sex. I even had one date where a guy, after a few drinks, said to me rather plainly, "If you're not going to have sex with me, you're of no use to me." It still makes me laugh, but I felt good for walking away from online dating at that point. I did the fear inventories with Emma and the desire work too, and it made me become crystal clear on what I wanted from a partner. I really didn't like it at first. It was hard to come face to face with my own feelings and desires. After I started this, though, I didn't feel as frustrated with dating in the same way. If guys didn't meet my standards, then I didn't let that energy linger with me. I tried again. I managed to get my desires of what I wanted to such a detailed list, and I managed to find someone who ticked those boxes, including small geeky details like loved these films and would be able to quote them. It was worth the push through, and I encourage you to try. You have all of us in the group supporting you. So that was from the Silver program. But look what happened. They ended up getting engaged and then married, and they now have had a child. And for privacy reasons, Cicely didn't want me to post any pictures of them. But if you look at the top there, you can probably just make out that it says Cicely's baby shower above the picture of the cute cake. So there we go. It's not just about meeting a man, but also finding long-lasting, healthy, committed relationships. But let me continue with my story. So I hit a point in time where I had a terrible letdown from a guy who didn't come to my New Year's Eve party because he was shagging his ex-girlfriend. Yes, ladies, I know. My heart. Anyway, I was terribly upset. And I hit a point where I was like, enough is enough. I am finding my man. So last night, I told you that so many of my clients who do the work to get ready for love through the process that I'm teaching you, excuse me, someone's trying to call me. That's annoying. Um, okay, who does the work to get, so let's start again. Many of my clients who do the work to get ready for love through the process that I am teaching you gets out there and meets their ideal man in just 1 or 2 dates. And that happened for me too. Once I was realigned and clear on what I was looking for, I went about it with a scalpel. I swiped on about 60 to 100 men in a night. Yes, there is a certain element in which it's a numbers game because I energetically knew exactly what I was looking for. And I also knew exactly how that man was going to have to show up in the first, second, third, and fourth instance to make him a match for what I wanted. And that is exactly what I teach in Module 6, how to recognize your man from his profile, his text message conversations, the way he arranges the first date, etc., the way he communicates. That is why so many of my clients have met emotionally intelligent men. Now, this was not only because I'd worked on my relationship blueprint, but it was also because I had honed my intuition to such a degree that I could now easily spot the man that I was looking for online before I'd even met him. So, intuition is another part of things too. We cover on the art of electric dating how to heal your trauma when it comes to men so that you can actually connect to your true intuition. And then in module 6, once you're back online and in your feminine power, we go through exactly how to aim that intuition at the internet so that you can read men a mile off before even meeting them. As I've said, we also set you up with some top and bottom lines when it comes to engaging with men. So just before I met Nick, my long-term partner, I had also decided on 3 criteria that my next partner must absolutely have in order to have access to me. I identified that he must have questions. He must engage and be genuinely interested in me. He must be intelligent because I don't suffer fools gladly. And he must be over 6'2". So that's actually 4 things because I'm also pretty tall. Now, I was, yeah, that's 4 things. So I was 100% clear that all 4 things were non-negotiable. So from the 60 to 100 people that I'd swiped on, a few conversations started. 3 dates got set up, and 2 of those dates happened. And Nick, who became my long-term partner, was one of those dates. And without a shadow of a doubt, he was the best one of the 2. But all of that happened in a period of about 2 or 3 weeks. And that's how it generally happens for my clients too. Once that internal clarity is there, once that internal alignment is there, meeting your perfect match can happen super, super quickly. So I want to go back now to this idea of the flexible spine and the open heart, because both mean being open to an element of surprise. I'm going to have to take some water now because I've been talking for a long time. So when I met Nick and fell in love with him, I was absolutely taken by surprise because he was a lot quieter than most of the people that I normally hang out with, much less of a talker. He'd also come straight out of the suburbs, whether at the time I was this supposedly kind of cool, metropolitan, worldly wise chick, perhaps not so worldly wise from everything I've told you this evening. But anyway, There was some differences between us. So it was really a case of opposites attract, as we were from different worlds and we also had different energies. But the thing, and I was surprised by that. That was the element of surprise, right? The thing that drew me to him was a sense of gravity. Like I literally felt like I had this gravitational pull towards him that I couldn't resist. And again, this is where the embodied feminine piece comes in. And to recap on what I said yesterday, what I mean by embodiment is listening to your body and your heart as well as to your masculine mind. Now, as many of you will know, that relationship has now run its course, but he was absolutely the right person for me at the time. And our relationship overall was one of growth, love, and expansion. And it was a massive evolution for me from where I was at before. And so it will always be an important part of my evolving journey into love. And so this is where I want to say that you can sit here online and you can listen to me. And you will get a lot of information and hopefully feel inspired. But there's nothing like actually going through the exercises that I teach on the art of electric dating experientially and dropping into your body at a different level and dropping into your heart energy at a different level. Because when I first met Nick, my head was protesting somewhat, but my body knew, my heart knew. It was done. So let's dive a little deeper into the embodiment work that we do in the art of electric dating. Because when you sign up for the silver or gold version, you will go even deeper into this. It is present in the bronze version as well, however. You see, a big part of our work together is about learning to trust your body and your intuition. So we do all kinds of exercises in the workbooks and the videos to help you get into that deep receptive state where you can truly hear what your heart, your womb, and your mind are telling you. But the thing is that those signals can be quite subtle, which is why taking one of the options with the add-on coaching can be so amazing, because then you get a supportive held space in which to tune into them. Now, I want to touch on something that a lot of women ask me about, which is trauma bonding. Now, when you're dating, trauma bonding can often show up as your body getting addicted to intense chemistry and excitement, even though deep down it's not actually that healthy for you. So maybe, like me, in the past, you've been drawn to unavailable men over and over, and your body lights up with that, oh my God, the chemistry, okay, feeling. But I'm afraid to say that the reality of that feeling, maybe I didn't act that very well. Maybe it's more like, oh, like this. The reality of that feeling is that at the root of the feeling is often undigested trauma. Perhaps it's a longing for an unavailable parent from when you were young, or a sense of deep familiarity from childhood with adults who were chaotic and who blew hot and cold. But this trauma bonding type intensity, this feeling of like being on the edge, not quite knowing where he's coming from, is he available? Oh, but the sex is hot. It's not really an attraction that comes from a healthy, empowered feminine place or from true internal alignment. So, as I've said, don't worry if this is you, because I too was in that place. But it was only when I did the embodiment work, the deep ongoing healing, that I was able to shift my attraction patterns. And suddenly I started becoming aware of a different kind of chemistry, a more subtle, expansive feeling that was actually in my solar plexus. And that is the kind of healthy attraction that is based on true internal alignment. Now, if I'd stayed in my trauma bonding and my addictive patterns, I would never have spent some wonderful years with a man who was really good for me. And I would have stayed on that endless merry-go-round of dating, feeling more and more jaded. So, the embodiment work on the art of electric dating will break you free. You will learn how to discern true healthy attraction from the kind that's rooted in old wounds. And that's when the magic will happen, just like it did for my client, Sarah. So let me quickly show you Sarah. So Sarah had been stuck for several years, and she said that she'd been in avoidance. She'd actually been keeping herself single, and she'd been back on the dating apps for around 18 months, and met some nice blokes, but nothing went further than around 3 dates. So one of the things that I worked with Sarah on was about the idea of going for some maybes rather than being constantly drawn to the people that she was a hell yes to, because it became apparent to me through talking to her that her hell yeses were actually trauma bonded yeses. And that in this world of maybes, that's where she could have the open heart and the flexible spine and be surprised. So it's still early days, but I'm currently seeing someone who several times I would normally write off as a maybe, or even a no, but just for minor things, because remember, she was an avoidant. But here we are getting on really well with no anxiety on my part, just enjoying the natural progression of things. And this is because she had learnt the difference between trauma bonding and healthy attraction. When I joined the Art of Electric Dating, it was only available as the now bronze version. Coaching sessions were added at a later date, and I'd recommend the now silver option to get full use of the course and to work through any issues that arise as you go. So, yeah, she couldn't see that until she had that personal time with me. All right, loves. So, let's get back to the matter in hand. As we've discussed, I just need to click around a bit. Let me just pause. Okay, as we've discussed, one of the keys to shining your light brightly so that someone else shining his light brightly can find you involves moving beyond your fears and embracing your desires. And the way that we do this on the Art of Electric Dating is that I have a specific exercise that you can practice and share with the other women in the group and share with me that is designed to slowly lower the volume on your fear whilst turning the volume up on your desire. Shining your light brightly is about being able to locate your true desires and your true needs that you have that sit beneath your old traumas. It's about then trusting that you can actually have them and receive them. Because when you act from your desire rather than from your fear, just like Corolla did, if you remember that, when she spoke her truth to the man that she was falling in love with, men will respond to you in amazing ways. Now, the problem is that most of us have become pretty good at disassociating ourselves from our desires, wants, and needs. But what this means is that our connection with our intuition has also become disrupted, which in turn means that we end up approaching dating in a bit of a directionless way. And what this amounts to is a kind of self-abandonment, a kind of self-abdication, or even what you could call a ghosting of yourself as you date. Now, we often do this because as women, we have been taught that having desires is dangerous. And it actually goes all the way back to the story of Eve and the apple in the Bible. That is how deep that cultural conditioning goes. But in reality, our desire is literally our only safety. And to make this point, I'd like you to imagine two older ladies in their 70s. One has lived her life in fear, the other has followed her desires. So write in the comments, which one do you think has led the most fulfilling life? I'm not going to pause to look at the comments right now because I'm conscious of time, but I will be very interested to see what you're putting. I imagine that the answers will be most definitely the second, because living in fear is restricting, whereas living from desire is expansive. So I want to share with you now an example or a story about a woman who's done a lot of work in this department and who has been able to approach her love life from a place of desire. She's not a client of me, she's actually somebody that I did my coaching training with. Um, so we come from the same lineage. So I read this story on Valentine's Day when people were doing a lot of sharing online about their relationships. And this is actually her boyfriend writing about her on Facebook and telling the story of the moment that he fell in love with her. I'm going to take some more water. So he writes this. It was day 3 of a jungle adventure in Jamaica that she had invited me to after we'd only had one encounter in person. You could hear the waves crashing less than 20 yards away from our room as we lie in bed in our villa. What did she just say? I responded, not offended, but completely surprised and taken aback. She didn't flinch. I love you. She repeated it back without a stutter or an inkling of uncertainty, utterly fearless. Then she says, you don't have to respond, just receive it. And she says that shortly afterwards with a calm, knowing smile. That's him again. And this is him again as well. I lay there completely dumbfounded, both perplexed and amazed at this incredibly unbounded and mysterious being laying next to me who had so easily and pleasurably thrown me right off my center. No one I've known in this short amount of time has ever thrown me off center like this, let alone have it feel this good. I tune into the sensation running through my body, the electricity circling between us, and the pure magic of the trip that we had created so far. I briefly ponder the way I would typically handle situations like this, my grounded approach, and my developed rules of engagement when it comes to dating. I love you too, I say, both with conviction, but with a sense of surrender, having no idea what I'm getting myself into. End of story. So, what I love about that is that it breaks all the rules, all the freaking rules. He says it himself. It's like he's got all the rules and the masculine ways that he's supposed to relate and date. And yet, this pure feminine transmission said with total confidence, but also without any effort to grasp or control or to get something in return, i.e., to move towards a masculine goal, was like an arrow straight into his heart. And I know, ladies, that when I speak with men, I know this from speaking to a lot of men, that they are dying for this nutrient. They are dying for it. Like I've had intelligent, kind, loving men say to me, like, why are women so spiky? They seem really angry. And I say to them, actually, I don't think it's anger. I think it's fear. And what's coming off to you as spikiness and anger is actually what we discussed yesterday, which is that avoidance self-protection. So, to shine your light brightly so that somebody else shining his light brightly can find you, you have to be able to take the volume down on your fear and turn the volume up on your desire, which is why you need the practice that I take people through in module 1 on the art of electric dating that they keep practicing throughout the course with one another. This is the place from which you will be able to claim a man from your feminine transmission and inspire him to commit to you. In the same way that that woman in the story that I just told was able to with the guy writing about her. And this is also how, no matter what the internet or dating in general throws at you, you will be able to, will help you to maintain the emotional resilience, trust, and faith, and the inner confidence to keep going, and the radiance to be able to attract your perfect match. I don't think I said that sentence very well. This is how you will be able to maintain emotional resilience, trust and faith, the inner confidence to keep going, and the radiance to be able to attract your perfect match, no matter what internet dating or dating in general throws at you. Okay, it's been a lot of talking. So, just to reiterate, the art of electric dating is all about getting rid of the garbage and getting ready for love so that you can claim your desire, drop into your feminine radiance, and shine your light brightly. Step 2 is about setting yourself up for dating success and aiming all of that at the dating process, but particularly internet dating by finding the right app, working on your dating profile, and your text message conversations. And step 3 is about effortlessly meeting your ideal man and bagging his commitment because you now know how to shoot that feminine arrow straight into his heart. Now, as Sarah said in her testimonial, and please stay with me because we're going to do a practical exercise in a minute, a lot of this stuff is really quite nuanced and in practice much more complex than it sounds when I'm talking. So if you are interested and you really want to make sure you nail it, I would 100% advise that you don't come from scarcity when it comes to money. If you have the resources or else you can get resourceful, I would highly recommend that you start leaning into and trusting your feminine desire right now and go for the silver or the gold package. In the self-development world, there's a saying that the transformation is in the transaction, which means that the changes will start happening just as soon as you put your money where your mouth is and where your heart is. It's basically a sign of commitment. It's you declaring to the universe and to yourself that you're ready for love and you're going to make it happen. So if you find yourself in masculine hypervigilance, fear, or scarcity when thinking about taking a next step with me, simply the act of putting a deposit down for one of the payment plans is going to snap you out of it and into your magnetic and potent desire-based feminine energy. And remember that if you can feel the truth of the desire to work with me further in your body, even if you're a little bit scared of it, my fast action bonus is available until midnight tonight to help nudge you off that edge where, let's face it, like, please be honest with yourselves. You may have been paralyzed on that edge for a long time. It's time to get off the wall and into the process of long-lasting love life transformation. All right, we are now going to do a practical exercise. It's an embodiment exercise that is going to help connect you to your intuition and your desire so that you can get an actual experience of how I work and how the embodiment work that there will be much more of on the Art of Electric Dating works as well. All right, so what I'd like you to do is take a couple of moments to find a comfortable position and get yourself super, super comfortable, right? Because you've been taking in a lot of information. I'm going to get comfortable too and have some more water. You might even want to turn down your lights, get some cushions. But in particular, I want you to put some attention on your pelvis area, your pelvic bowl. And I really, really want you to check in with your pelvic bowl and make sure that it's not scrunched up, squished, or tight, because that's where a lot of your sexual and feminine energy is. We want to have it relaxed and open. So just elongate the back of your spine. Drop your tailbone. If you're lying down, just have a little stretch out. Get really comfy in that part of your body. And I'd like you to take 3 deep breaths. And whilst you're breathing, I'd like you to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your tummy. So we're really checking in now with three very powerful energy centers in a woman's body. So as the breath comes in, I'd like you just to let that breath caress the insides of your body and open your body, so you're creating space. And on the out breath, let everything go soft and concave and release. So I want you to feel how the body expands, and you can create space on the in breath, but not raise your shoulders. Let the breath come into the rib cage, the tummy, the pelvic area. And on the out breath, everything goes soft and releases. So actually, let's keep doing that in your own time. Deep breaths all the way into the tummy, all the way into the pelvic bowl, all the way into the rib cage. And I want you to start noticing the sensations that are there in your body. I want you to start noticing different parts of your body. And you might want to go all the way down to your toes, to your feet, and just do a gentle body scan all the way up. In your own time, I'm just dropping a few things in for inspiration, but maybe you might put some attention on your knees, your hips, your lower back, your shoulders, your hands, your neck, your face. Just breathing and noticing, not trying to change anything or have anything be different. Just noticing what you can feel in your body. And now I'd like you to put some attention on the place where the air comes in and out of your nose. So I think most of you will be breathing in and out through your nose now. You could also just focus on your mouth, but I want you to notice that very delicate spot where life comes into your body and then it leaves. So that should take you a little bit deeper into just the process of breathing. And now I'd like you to just notice any parts of your body that have any tension. So just choose one. And what I'd like you to do is to see if you can actually visualize sending your in-breath to that area of your body. So if it's your lower back, see if you can actually allow the muscles in your lower back to expand as you're breathing in. And as you're breathing out, can you allow those muscles in your lower back to become just that little bit softer than they were before? And it might be the same with the back of the neck. Allowing the body to expand with the in-breath and soften with the out-breath. And now I'd like you to just kind of see if you can change your awareness slightly so that you can feel your whole body as one unit. So we've gone right into some particulars. Now we're going to zoom out, and I want you to get a sense of where your skin and the edge of your body meets the chair, the sofa, the bed, and the air. And then as you're breathing in and out, I'd like you to imagine that you're breathing in all this energy from the air around you and then breathing out into that space. So now you're getting a sense of both your physical body, but also your energetic body. So your physical body ends where your skin ends, but the breath is connecting you to a bigger space. And so, yeah, where does your body actually carry on into space? How are you connected through the breath to the space around you? And now what I want you to imagine is a desire, something that you would really like. And it can be anything. It can be something physical, like sex, or it could be something as physically simple as an ice cream or a crumpet. Ice cream's not weather appropriate right now, but what I'm saying is it can be big or small. It could be an emotional desire. It could be something that you're just longing to receive at an emotional or perhaps even intellectual level or energetic level. And that could include money, perhaps, because money is an energetic thing, actually. So just something that right now, right here in this body, you desire. And, you know, again, it could be something as simple as a bath or a stretch or a cuddle with a cat. There's no right or wrong, and you're not going to have to share this with anybody. So I just want you to really tune into your heart, your tummy, and your pelvic area, and really feel into the truth of what is there right now in this moment. And just see if you can nurture the feeling of that desire, because what I want you to do is to start to tune into any pleasurable sensations that you can feel in your body as you feel into the desire of that thing. Can you just feel the pleasure of wanting that thing, of desiring that thing? So the pleasure and fulfillment of simply desiring. And if a little story comes in of like, oh my God, I can't have it, it's going to be really difficult, it's going to be problematic, just see if you can let that story just float away like a little cloud on your next out breath. So you're just going to keep breathing out any of those stories that come up and complicate the desire. Any fears, any doubts, any contraction that you feel in your body, you're just going to try breathe it out. Just breathe into the contraction and try to reconnect with the sensation of pleasure, the pleasure of that desire, the pleasure of feeling desire in your body. And I want you to just see now if you can allow these sensations to be like a lover or a dance partner. Just gently moving around your body, caressing you as you lie or sit in this comfortable, well-supported position. Just feeling into as deeply as possible into the pleasure of just simply having this desire and imagining it, imagining what will it be like to have it. And so when you're feeling a strong connection to that desire and to the pleasure of that desire, maybe just add a tiny little essence of story in. But if that feels like too much and it takes away from the pleasure, just go back to the sensation of feeling the desire in your body and breathing the story out. So I'm going to go quiet for some moments here and there now, but I am still here. This live stream is still happening, even if you have your eyes closed. I want you to just keep breathing, keep imagining, and maybe if you've still got a hand on your heart and a hand on your tummy, or even if you haven't, I just want you to notice what's happening in your heart center right now and what's happening in your tummy. And maybe what's happening in your genitals. And just enjoy. Enjoy the sensation. Enjoy imagining. You might want to just invite another little essence of story back in again and try it again with the story. We're just going to stay here for a little bit longer. I'm just going to allow you to just stay there, riding the waves of pleasure as you really allow yourself to fully embody this desire. I'm still here with you, but I'm just giving you a little bit of quiet time. Just to stay with it, to keep breathing. Keep imagining. And now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine that you're sending that desire to literally every single cell in your body. Every single tiny cellular particle of you is receiving the imprint of this desire. So breathe the desire into every single cell in your body, expanding and contracting, allowing yourself to open and soften with each breath. And now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine that with each out breath, you are sending your desire out into space, breathing it out, right out into the universe. I want you to imagine that desire expanding beyond the realms of your physical body into your energetic body and out into the universe with which you are one. And I want you to imagine that within and without, it's the same energy. That desire is being felt within you at a cellular level and without you out into the universe. If that feels like too much, you can just bring it back inside. You can bring it down to a more kind of muscular level. But just keep breathing into it, allowing it to be pleasurable. And I want you to hear me say this: you are safe with your desire. You are held in your desire. The universe is holding your desire. The universe is responding to your desire. You are powerful, you are safe, and you are loved. So breathe that one in. Okay. And when you're ready, you're going to very gently open your eyes and just slowly come back into the room. Now, I would love to know how that felt. I'd love some feedback, but I also get that you guys are going to be in a very soft, open state right now, so don't rush it. But rather than you telling us the desire, although you can if you want to, I would love to know how it went for you to really embody the feeling of pleasure in desire and that feeling of allowing it to just gently emanate from you. As within, so without. As Rumi said, that which you are seeking is also seeking you. When we're coming from fear, limiting beliefs, ambivalence, old hurt, that is what we get back in energetic form. When we come from this alignment, from this pure, beautiful desire and the confidence that we can have it, we receive back the thing that we want. So, ladies, oh, hold on. Yes, there are some comments up, but I can't do technology right now. I'm so sorry. All right. I am going to post the details of the Art of Electric Dating above this live stream. This live stream will go into the featured section of the group, which is, if you're on your phone, a little grey button just below the main picture. You know all about the fast action bonus by now, 60 hours of my entire back catalogue of video trainings, available until midnight tonight. If you have questions, you can send me a DM, you can ask in the chat group, or you can book a 15-minute call with me. Think about your desire, feel into your desire. Is it your heart's true desire to be able to live from this place on a more permanent basis? To use this desire to reinvent your love life and to find your ideal man in the next 6 months. This is super affordable. The type of money that we're talking about on payment plan, most people have it. You might choose to spend it on other things, like holidays. Holidays are important. I totally get that. But sometimes the things that we choose to spend money on, like holidays or makeup or going out for meals or whatever, is kind of about momentary pleasure and sometimes about us running away from ourselves and running away from our lives rather than about the deep satisfaction of transformation. Once you have the wisdom that I will be teaching you, and once you practice it to the point where you can lock it in and you have all the precise steps, you will never lose that wisdom. It will last a lifetime and it will change your life. So, as I've said, I've had 2 ladies sign up already for the gold version of the program. There are 3 more spaces left, but plenty of spaces on bronze and silver. I look forward to working with you very soon. All right, lots of love, and I'll see you tomorrow for the final installment. Okay, bye.